So the next talk is by Professor Dafna Shahaf from the Hebrew University. She will talk about scaling up innovation through analogy mining.
Okay, hi. Can you hear me all the way to the back? Oh, you aren't joking. You really can't see anything here. Okay, so hi, I'm Dafna. Let's start with this guy. How many of you recognize him? Who is it? Yeah, okay, Thomas Edison. Nice, also known as America's greatest inventor. He's responsible for many inventions that you've heard of, like the phonograph, the motion picture camera, and the practical light bulb. And the reason I had to explicitly say practical light bulb here is that while I was looking up stuff about Edison, I realized that the internet has gone completely insane over the question of who should get credit for the light bulb, whether it's Edison or Tesla. And when I say completely insane, I'm not joking, okay? You can buy a t-shirt supporting your favorite inventor. Okay, but forget about light bulb for a second, still a great inventor. And I recently stumbled upon an interview with Edison where he talks about what makes somebody a great inventor. So Edison said that when working out an invention, the most important quality of an inventor is, can you guess? Okay, luck is actually a good one. So Edison said, plenty of money to throw away. The second most important quality of an inventor, according to Edison, well, this is a bit more vanilla, it's imagination, because you need to imagine something that doesn't exist yet. But what really got to me is the third thing he said. So Edison said that the third essential is a logical mind that sees analogies. Now, the next paragraph was just too good, so I had to share it with you. Okay, bear with me for a second. So a logical mind that sees analogies, and then he immediately goes on to saying, no, not mathematical. No man of a mathematical habit has ever invented anything that amounted to much. And then he said that he himself doesn't know anything about math, can't even do proportions, but he can hire all the mathematicians he needs for $15 a week. Okay, but let's get back to what he said, a logical mind that sees analogies. And he has a point, because analogies have been a driving force of innovation for centuries. Okay, you had the ancient Greeks that observed water waves to understand sound waves. And Salvador Luria got a Nobel Prize for an analogy between bacterial mutation and slot machines. NASA actually hires origami experts to help them design folding spacecraft. My favorite recent example, the Odon device, is a device that helps babies who are stuck in the birth canal. And the great thing about this was invented by a car mechanic after watching a YouTube video, how to extract a cork from a wine bottle. Okay, so basically just a stupid party trick, but this guy goes on to create a device that can save millions of lives in developing countries. So my point is that just like YouTube was a source of inspiration here, the web is full of potential inspirations. We have almost 10 million patents, we have scientific publications, we have crowdsourced innovation websites like Kickstarter, and all of this is an unprecedented opportunity for us to find analogies in all this data. Having said that, it's also a major cognitive bottleneck because you can't expect anybody to be familiar with 10 million patents. So the natural question is, can computers actually help us find analogies in all this massive amounts of data? You with me? Good. Okay, so the goal of this project is to design a novel system to automatically discover analogies in those large, natural language, messy, unstructured data sets like the patents. Okay, and if today analogy finding relies on serendipity of one person, this aha moment, I want to transform it into a reliable, on-demand process that can scale to millions of ideas. I want to come up with new tools and theories that will hopefully be used to revolutionize many fields. Okay, so that's kind of the high-level goal. So what should you know about analogies right now? First thing you should know, they're really, really hard for people. Okay, first of all, because going through 10 million patents is daunting, but also there's lots of research in cognitive psychology tells you that it's a heavy cognitive load. Basically, that people are really bad at it, that they gravitate to what's called surface similarity, or near analogies, like this is a phone, this is also a phone. But they don't see the deep structural relations like the Odon device and the cork in a bottle. Okay, so that's people. On the other hand, machines are also bad at it. Okay, so for a while, analogies have been a holy grail of AI. There is a book here by Douglas Hofstadter, the Gedel Escher-Bach guy, who basically said that analogies are AI complete, in the sense that if you solved analogies, you solved all of AI. Okay, so let me tell you a bit about what has been done from the computer science, computational analogies. For a very long time, this entire field relied on handcrafted data sets with really high relational structure. Okay, this is how you would encode a cork in a wine bottle. And as you can see, this is super difficult to obtain and most definitely does not scale. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, tremendous progress has been made in natural language processing, information retrieval, but they have been shown to be able to do simple analogies. I bet all of you have seen the word to back king to queen is like man to what example, but it's not the kind of analogy that I'm after, okay? They're a lot more shallow. And none of these methods can see abstract similarity, especially between different domains. Like if you have this thing that removes ice from windshields, none of these methods can tell you that this is the same thing as removing burnt oil from a frying pan. Also on an abstract level, exactly the same thing. You have two surfaces glued to each other. You want to remove one without damaging the other. Okay, so here's what we did. We said there's really a spectrum here. And on one end, you have the crazy logic-based representations. And once you have them, finding analogies is trivial, but getting them is a pain. And on the other hand, you have raw text, which is practically free, but if you have it, it doesn't really get you anywhere for analogies. So we wanted to find a sweet spot in the middle, some representation that's expressive enough for finding analogies, but easy enough so it can be learned from raw text. Okay, so we landed on this idea from cognitive psychology called purpose and mechanism. So the purpose of something is what's the goal of this product, what is it used for, and the mechanism is how it actually achieves the purpose. For example, this has a purpose of removing ice from cars, and a mechanism of a brush, a blade, and a grip. Okay? And the nice thing about purpose and mechanism is that if you are able to extract them from raw text, you can ask some really, really core analogical questions like, find me another product that has a very similar purpose, but totally different mechanism. Or the other way around, find me another product with a very similar mechanism that uses we use it for a completely different purpose. And here's my favorite example, by the way. It's this kids' floating devices, in a swimming pool. And here it's used to prevent a wine bottle from breaking. You put the wine bottle inside, you put it in a suitcase, which, I don't know, I thought was brilliant. Okay, so our goal right now is to be able to learn purpose and mechanism from raw text. So we went to crowdsourcing, we went to Mechanical Turk. We showed them product descriptions from a website called Quirky. You probably don't know Quirky, think about it as Kickstarter's little brother. And we asked them to mark on the product description, how does the product work and what is it good for? Okay, so you see this is the amazing pillow. So how does it work? They marked components like it has a pillow, alarm clock, Bluetooth sensors. And what is it good for? They marked stuff like improve and monitor sleep, wake up comfortably, track sleep patterns. Okay, so this was our annotations. And now, note that it wasn't like a sequence-to-sequence problem. I didn't want to extract those chunks. What I wanted is one vector representing overall purpose and one vector representing overall mechanism. So we did this pretty standard trick of aggregating. We take the pre-trained glove embeddings, we weigh them by TF-IDF across the workers, and this was our target. And I've been talking for something like 7 minutes, and I haven't said deep learning yet, which is not cool. So we did use deep learning, not going to go into the details, just to tell you it was a multiple output regression with a bidirectional GRU RNN. One thing I will tell you is, one thing I hate about deep learning is how opaque it is, right? How it's really a black box. How you never know if you learned what you think you're learning. So we did do a quick reality check. And what we did was say, well, let's take a product that we haven't seen in the training, like this is a small yogurt maker. Let's extract the purpose and mechanism vectors, and now pretend that it's a sparse linear combination of words, of those glove embeddings, and see which words would those be. Okay, so here, for example, the purpose, top 3 words were making energy yogurt, and the top 3 mechanism words were vacuum, coal, and drum. And this isn't a rigorous analysis in any sense of the word, but we did do this for quite a few products. And it seems like the mechanism words are indeed of a more mechanical nature, and purpose words are about the purpose. Okay, but let me tell you about the really fun part of this study. Now, I spent the entire beginning telling you that analogies are awesome for innovation, have been driving inventions for centuries. So what we wanted to see is whether we can actually use our algorithms to make people more creative. And we gave them an ideation task, meaning we give them a problem, and we give them some inspirations for solving it. For example, you start from this thing. It's a cell phone case with a secondary battery. So, your cell phone battery lasts longer. And we tell them your task is to find other ways to solve the same problem, meaning to extend the life of your cell phone. And we gave them three conditions of this inspiration. One was just random products. Another was surface similarity, meaning what search engines today would have retrieved. And ours, meaning products with a similar purpose, but totally different mechanism. And the hope was that, random is going to be all over the place, super diverse, but completely irrelevant. Surface similarity is going to be very relevant, but also very narrow, very focused. And the hope was that ours is going to be diverse, but still relevant. So it can help people explore parts of the design space they wouldn't have gone to otherwise. Okay, so here's a chunk from the actual inspirations we showed people. So on the right, your right, you have a random with stuff like a dog meetup app, because that's what the world really needs right now. Middle is a surface similarity, so you see cell phone cases, GPS cases, cell phones. And on the left, you see our approach. And I just want to show you the bottom one. It's this completely crazy suit with a system of pulleys inside, so you walk and it generates energy. Doesn't mention cell phones. I'm pretty sure it doesn't even mention batteries. But it's clearly about this concept of generating energy. Okay, and then we had almost 40 mechanical recorders generating ideas. It was a within subject design, so everybody actually did all three conditions for different products. And they just generated a really long list of ideas. I just want to show you the first blue one. This is somebody who was exposed to our baseline. And the first thing they write is a case that tracks steps and generates power using your movement. Now, I don't know if it's because they saw the crazy suit with the pulleys or not. I can just hope so. Anyway, we took this really long list of things, and we had them externally rated by 5 judges. Criteria are standard in creativity research. Novelty, meaning you're solving it in a new way. Quality, meaning you're solving the right problem. And feasibility, meaning you're not breaking physics. Okay, no time travel or cold fusion involved. And the bottom line was that no matter how you slice and dice it, if you look at the proportion of good ideas, if you look at absolute number of good ideas, people who were exposed to our inspiration got a really nice, statistically significant boost to their creative ability. Okay, so at this point, everything looked awesome. We extended it in a bunch of ways. We had a paper about finding analogies in research papers. And we actually found some expert in mechanical engineering, and we managed to do an evaluation with them to show them papers that were novel and useful for them in completely different domains they would have never, ever read otherwise. I now have a student working on biomimicry, or bio-inspired design, meaning finding analogies from nature. Okay, like here you see the Speedo swimsuits that were designed after a shark skin, and now you can no longer swim with them because they broke all possible records. One more thing I want to tell you about, one final extension. If at the beginning I told you that the high-level goal is to have an analogy search engine, we actually wanted to play with a prototype. And we started playing with it, and we immediately realized that our formulation so far has been a bit naive. And what people really wanted is to be able to control more expressive queries, to guide the abstractions. For example, we had somebody who was studying stuff about blood, and we showed him analogies about water. And he's like, no, wait, blood has all those important properties, so anything about water just doesn't work for me because you're missing those important properties. So we had another system in Kai that allowed way more expressive queries than just, here's a product, find me something with similar purpose, different mechanism. So it allowed people to focus the query on exactly the aspect that they care about. This is, for example, a soap dish. And what's the most interesting part, you could click on words like soap, and the system would pull up some properties of soap and ask you what's important for you for the analogy. For example, if I find you analogies to soap, does it have to be toiletry substance? How about a cleaning substance? What about chemical properties, like soap is a surfactant? How about, soap is slippery? Because I can imagine scenarios where you want an analogy and being slippery is crucial, and other scenarios where it's really not. Okay, so we had this system. Again, in this case, you can just pick a personal product. And I just want to briefly tell you about the evaluation, because, again, this was the fun part. So first of all, we did standard things. We outperformed baselines, both in finding things that are relevant to the actual user and the need, and still domain distant. But when we ran the study with actual designers who came with their own problems, we found out that they were mostly able to express what they wanted, and it did help them find new abstractions and finding analogies in other domains. My favorite example here is somebody who came up to us with a problem of removing excess oil from French fries. And he abstracted to removing liquid, then to a separation of liquid event, and the system suggested hydrophobic coating. Now, I don't know about you. I probably do not want hydrophobic coating on my French fries, but just this idea of opening your mind to completely new directions of thinking, I thought this was awesome. Okay, because you never think about putting something on the fries, you just think about how to remove the excess oil. Okay, so what did you have here today? Why should we do this? Because analogy mining tools and theories can revolutionize many fields. Okay, imagine a future where you have scientists, inventors, anybody really, who uses a search engine to find analogies based on deep structural similarity, not just keywords. Another personal holy grail of mine, I want some of those ideas to feed back into cognitive science, to actually teach people a bit about how we do this magic of analogies. Why now? Like I said, an unprecedented opportunity, plenty of data available online, and tremendous progress in machine learning and NLP. What next? Well, my group is working on more complex representations, common sense, which I think is our #1 problem right now. If anybody wants to talk about common sense, come finding me. And new domains. I mentioned biomimicry, and we're working on patents right now. And of course, if you have more ideas, again, come and find me. Thanks. You really can't see anything here.
So, if there are no questions, Dafna is hiring mathematicians for $15 per hour.
A week.
A week. So let's conclude the session. There's lunch now, and the next session will start at 1:40. Thank you.